the world's most infamous serial killers.
It was the largest numbers of deaths attributable to a single mass murder in American history.
Here it was, all-American boys killing all-American girls.
But what drove them to commit their horrific crimes?
The victims had been cut open and their organs had been removed.
Was it nature?
Her father was reportedly a sex offender.
He's the most deranged fellow I ever met.
Or nurture?
The father stood and broke the mother's fingers one by one in front of the children.
But was Ted Bundy born to kill?
While Ted was at the university, he met the woman of his dreams, and he told me, she's everything I want.
In adolescence, Bundy finally discovered for himself the truth about his parentage.
Everything he'd previously been told to believe was in fact a lie. In those circumstances, it would be natural to distrust. It would be natural to find it very difficult to form lasting attachments to those people who had lied to him.
But was this killer of innocent young women created by nature or nurture? Was he damaged as a child by the lie that his mother was his sister? Was his latter rejection by his dream girl the catalyst for his crimes? Or was Ted Bundy simply born to kill?
I've never wanted to believe in the bad seed, that a child is doomed from the beginning. But if a child with the tendency to violence is born into an abusive household, then you have the perfect soil to grow a sadistic sociopath. He wasn't crazy. He was not crazy. He knew what he was doing. He covered his tracks. But he was addicted.
There seems to be some indication that even when he was a child, he had no real close emotional attachment to anyone. The basic personality is there when the child is born. It's acted upon by the environment. So was he born to kill? There had to be something in this child's genetic makeup that said, all you need is this certain environmental trigger, and then you'll be able to start your fate.
I've absolutely no doubt that Ted Bundy had a set of circumstances in his childhood which were very unusual and potentially incredibly damaging. Ted Bundy was not born to be a serial killer. It was a choice that he made as he grew up and felt that there was no other way of resolving some of his underlying psychological problems.
Something drove them to it. But if you don't believe people are basically good, you're far more likely to blame the criminals themselves, not outside forces, for their actions. One more example. In a society where it is believed that people are basically good, parents and society don't devote great efforts toward making good people. After all, if we're born good, why do you have to teach goodness?
I thought I had to be like everybody else, a savage animal.
Have the same views about human nature, almost always have the same social and political views. Let me give you some examples. You've probably heard the phrase, poverty causes crime. If you believe that people are basically good, you are likely to believe that poverty or bigotry or some other outside force causes people to commit violent crime. That's the only way you can make sense of the fact that some people commit crimes despite their basically good nature.
Ted was wonderful on the phone. He sounded caring. He was interested in people. I can still picture him hunched over the desk with a phone to his head. And many times we saved lives, which seems very ironic to me now. And who would walk me out to my car at 2 in the morning when my shift was over, and he'd say, Ann, please lock the doors. I don't want anything bad to happen to you on the way home. Well, I just been locked up with probably the most dangerous man in the western states. Never had a clue.
Bundy himself gave corrections officer Paul Decker a chilling insight into the motives for his crimes.
He was resting and kind of relaxed at that point. And I said something to him about, Ted, why did you, what did you do all this for? And he says, I liked it. There was no discussion about, oh, it was a mental problem that drove me to it or any kind of a thing like that. He just enjoyed it. It's a terrifying thought.
But it happened 20, 30 years ago, that is, in my formative stages. And what scares and appalls me, Dr. Dobson, is when I see what's on cable TV, some of the movies, I mean, some of the violence in the movies that come into homes today with stuff that they wouldn't show in X-rated adult theaters 30 years ago. This stuff...
The slasher movies that you're talking about.
That stuff is, I'm telling you, from personal experience, the most, that is graphic violence on screen, particularly as it gets into the home to children who may be unattended or unaware that they may be a Ted Bundy who has that vulnerability to that predisposition to be influenced by that kind of behavior, by that kind of movie, that kind of violence. There are kids sitting out there switching the TV dial around and come upon these movies late at night, or I don't know when they're on, but they're on and any kid can watch them. It's scary when I think what would have happened to me if I had seen. It was scary enough.
Yeah, this is their family. Can we do anything for you?
Why am I here? Sometimes I don't know why. You know, it's just something in me that just wanting to do the opposite of everything bad I ever did.
Everybody can't handle, just being around the time.
Oh.
Hospice is the ultimate test. Have you changed or have you not? This is your chance.
Put so much into it only to watch them die.
Something in you gonna open up, or you
I could
not
be
you.
that person that sits there when the patient dies.
I wouldn't volunteer to do it, but they do, and I appreciate it.
How you feeling? You all right?
Feel helpless. One of those breaths could be
Are
the
you
last
thinking
one.
about all those victims out there and their families who are so wounded, years later, their lives have not returned to normal. They will never return to normal.
Absolutely.
Are you carrying that load, that weight? Is the remorse there?
Again, I know that people will accuse me of being self-serving, but we're beyond that now. I mean, I'm just telling you how I feel. But through God's help, I have been able to come to the point where much too late, but better late than never, feel the hurt and the pain that I am responsible for. Yes, absolutely. In the past few days, myself and a number of investigators have been talking about unsolved cases, murders that I was involved in. And it's hard to talk about all these years later because it revives in me all those terrible feelings and those thoughts that I have.
You feel this really deeply, don't you? Ted, outside these walls right now, there are several hundred reporters that wanted to talk to you.
Yeah.
And you asked me to come here from California because you had something you wanted to say. This hour that we have together is not just an interview with a man who's scheduled to die tomorrow morning. I am here and you're here because of this message that you're talking about right here. You really feel that hardcore pornography and the doorway to it, softcore pornography, is doing untold damage to other people and causing other women to be abused and killed
Hospice
the way you
referred
did.
to as a process of helping one die with dignity. But more than that, I feel it's helping one live our life with love.
There's always gonna be another mountain. I'm always gonna wanna make it move. Always gonna be an uphill battle. Sometimes I'm gonna have to lose. Ain't about how fast I get there. Ain't about what's waiting on the other side. It's the climb. See that dream I'm dreaming, but